I think I figured out why games take so long to make. Hollow Knight Silksong has been in development for a long time, about 4 years. Grand Theft Auto 6 has been in development since 2015. In reality, these games are taking way too long to finish. To the normal person, this makes no sense at all. Why would a sequel take even longer than the first game? A lot of people might describe that as development hell, meaning the game is stuck and they have no idea when it will be finished. But I want to explain why that's actually a good thing. See, me personally, I'm on a journey to become my own game developer, and whether you're a small developer like me or you're part of a big studio, making games always requires a significant amount of time. But how much time is reasonable? And when do you start calling it development hell? I'll be honest, to me, there's no such thing as development hell. Usually that term refers to bad management. I'm choosing to separate the management of the project versus the development of the project. They are basically the same in a lot of ways, but they're also very different. When you order a package, if it arrives a day late, you don't call that delivery hell. That wouldn't be the fault of the driver, that would be the fault of the company. You understand that sometimes things take longer, but in game development, you're responsible for all parts of the process. To make a game, you pretty much have to go through 3 stages: the ideation stage, the development stage, and the iteration stage. Now, the idea stage is the stage where you're basically coming up with what the game is supposed to be. Nobody starts the game project with the game fully created in their mind. There are going to be things that you want to change over time, and that's something you can't avoid. You might come up with an even better idea as you're working on your original idea. The design stage is usually when you want to start putting the game together and making all of the ideas that you came up with. The problem is you would need tools to create those things, and those tools take time. Sometimes you might be able to get around using certain tools by coming up with little tricks, but even those things take time to learn. Nobody comes into the process fully understanding how they're best going to cut corners and save time.
I basically worked at this company doing tools for artists, just playing the game, and it was really slow to shuffle the deck. He wrote down rules in flowcharts, and then I would convert those flowcharts into C. These shuffles were now near instant, so he really loved that.
And finally, the iteration. The iteration stage is when you constantly improve on what the game is. Yes, you have a great idea and you've already started to build it, but now you need to add more. Now, because no idea and no game is perfect the first time. You might think that your idea is perfect, but as you begin to make it, even you are going to come up with better ideas as it goes along. Let's say, for example, your game has combos. If you finish making your system for combos, you might decide to add different weapons, and now that would mean you need combos for every single weapon. See, that's an iteration on the idea. We have to continue to develop those ideas. I watched this talk with the developer of Celeste where they basically say, even if you develop something that you don't use, it's still important because later on you can improve upon that to make what you really want in your game.
It's like progressing what the game is, because you're like learning about what the game actually is and you're figuring things out. So even though you're throwing work away, it's like a learning experience that like ultimately makes the game better.
Yeah, it's like it's still work that goes toward completing the game, even if it doesn't manifest as content in the game, right? Yeah. It becomes part of your knowledge that you use to make the rest of the content.
See, the way I look at it, it's kind of like creme brulee, right? Nobody in the world would ever think of creme brulee fresh out of their mind for the first time. Nobody thinks to burn sugar and thinks it would taste good. However, as people come up with new ideas, you put them together and you get something that you never could have had in the first place. It's important to understand the first idea that you have is just the seed. And as you make the game, you will continue to grow on that seed into a full-fledged game. See, for developers like me, it's tough to spend too much time perfecting your game and doing that process because we can't afford to do that. We need to release it, we need to start making money, we need to start developing our skills by finishing our products and releasing our games. Even if it's your first game, we can't continue to make it better forever. If you make a game for 10 years, who's to say that people even want that type of game in 10 years? So what ends up happening is you have to settle. You have to say, maybe my game doesn't need online multiplayer. Maybe I don't need extra costumes in my game. And as a result, when people do get the game, they might complain, hey, this game feels like it's missing content.
Why should I be surprised? The list of games that gets dropped unfinished gets longer and longer and longer by the day.
It feels like it can be more to this game. And this is just naturally what happens during the process. You have to find where you're gonna take your loss. Another thing, the tools we use in game development can change the final product. It's like using different ingredients in a dish. Even if it's the same food, the taste can be completely different. It's almost as important how you do it than what you do. Companies like Team Cherry and Rockstar have years of built up tools and skills that they've learned through making these games that now allow them to start at a much higher place than they were when they originally had the idea. See, some studios have the luxury to make their game perfect. For me personally, I've been learning to make games for almost a year now, and I feel like I finally understand that it's impossible to be good from the beginning. You are starting from basically nothing and you're trying to go to creme brulee. It's just not gonna happen that fast. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you make a bunch of short games or if you make one really long game. The process is exactly the same. That's the real truth that I learned. Only thing that matters is that you continue to grow and you continue to learn. Sure, it's possible for Hollow Knight Silksong to be out right now, and GTA 6 could have been finished years ago if they hadn't made 100 DLCs, but are we really upset if the games come out and they continue to be what we expect them to be? It's no doubt in my mind that studios like Activision and Infinity Ward could spend 3 to 5 years making the next Call of Duty the greatest war game you've ever seen. But that's just not a thing that they're gonna spend their time doing. They would much rather come up with a great idea and put it out as fast as they can. See, this leads me to my final conclusion. The difference between development hell and a long development cycle is choice. We choose our trade-offs. Development hell means the game is at risk of never coming out due to the company, bad project management, bad mental health on the team, a ton of other things outside of the development of the game. The point is, do you have the choice to continue working on the game, or are you forced to release it in whatever state that it's in? Do you have time to make fresh bread and grow your own vegetables at your restaurant, or will you need to serve 1 billion people like McDonald's does? Unfortunately, we all have to make trade-offs. Will you piss off your fans because you're taking so long, or will you piss off your fans because you put out a mediocre game?
I'm done for the day. This is my last time playing Starfield. I'm done. I can't play this. I can't do this. Fuck!
Studios that can perfect their game should be appreciated, as we as gamers should be more patient. As an indie developer myself, I will say that whether you're making short games or long games, as long as you're learning and growing, that's the most important part to actually making a good product one day. There are no idea guys in game development, and there's no magic button that instantly creates ideas for you. There's really no way around how long it takes to make a game. With games like Silksong and Grand Theft Auto 6 taking years to develop, I think it's important to appreciate the fact that those games look to be coming out at a high quality, while other games may have no choice but to release their game early due to, development conditions or financial conditions or things of that nature. I've been GC Rex. I appreciate you guys. Peace.